Teams, culture, and etiquette. The ins and outs of domestic and international business meetings. First, we talk about team meetings and preparing. Preparation varies depending on the type of meeting, but involves deciding if the meeting is worth having. Before calling a meeting, one should stop to consider whether or not the information or ideas to be conveyed are better carried out via memo, email, or similar such format. Because when actually calling a meeting, certain valuable resources are called upon, such as time, man hours, funding, and use of the venue itself. So, decide accordingly. You also want to make the purpose of the meeting known. Is it for information sharing, or is it a decision-making meeting? Having this information ahead of time allows attendees to better prepare. Next, we want to decide who should attend and what their roles will be. For example, if you're holding a decision-making meeting, you want to only invite decision makers. Next, you want to set the venue and the time. Remembering that the venue plays a major role upon how the meeting is perceived on an emotional level. For example, if it's a hot, sweaty, dank, and funky atmosphere, people are going to have that kind of subconscious impression about the meeting they just attended. Also, remember that it's widely hypothesized that earlier morning meetings are best because attendees are more likely to be alert and attentive. Last, you want to decide will it be conducted via electronic or traditional conference. Efficient meetings. Conducting an efficient meeting includes the following: keeping things running smoothly and on time, agreeing upon and following rules, encouraging participation, actively participating, and bringing the meeting to a smooth end. First, as the moderator of the meeting, you want to keep track of the way things are running and make sure they're running smoothly. If a speaker begins to get a little lengthy or long-winded, it's your job to put a harness on it and keep things going as smoothly as you can. Also, if differences of opinion and the occasional squabble are to arise, you are also expected to keep a lid on that as well. Next, it's important to agree upon and follow rules. Predetermined rules and agreements are kind of important for meetings because they help to keep the format on a basic, understandable knowledge to all attendees, and that's a great way to avoid any confusion or miscommunications. You also want to encourage participation during a meeting. A great example would be to call upon attendees as time goes by and ask them to reflect upon or share opinions about transpirings. Next, you also want to actively participate in the meeting yourself. As the person who called the meeting, you don't want to come off as a wallflower or just a fly on the wall. You want to actively participate and make your presence known while not hijacking the meeting or making it all about yourself, or even speaking just to be heard. Lastly, you want to bring the meeting to a smooth end. Bridging the gap with technology. Conducting and attending meetings via electronic medium. This allows for long-distance meetings to take place, video conferencing, which also maintains the personal touch, the convenience, and the necessity. Okay. Using technology such as face-to-face video conference or even telephone conference is a great way for long-distance meetings to take place because sometimes our colleagues, partners, our customers are located in an area where it's physically impossible to attend. So you can use technology to hold the meeting. Barring time zone differences, everything should work out great. And also, using video conference helps to maintain that personal effect. Looking at our colleagues in the face, so that way we can sort of see how they're feeling, their nonverbal cues, and just their all around appearance sometimes just helps us to forget that we're on a kind of non-personal video conference. It kind of makes us feel like we're more in the moment. It's also very convenient because I've stated before, sometimes people just aren't able to attend physically. And sometimes that's the only way to get it done. Keeping the minutes. Keeping the minutes is kind of alongside what a stenographer does in the courtroom, though not as complicated or lengthy a process. Writing the minutes during a meeting is important in order to account for the attendees, to track the decisions being made, appoint accountability, and it also sums up any pertinent happenings and allows for a quick audit. Accounting for attendees. Sometimes it very much matters to certain persons and businesses who actually attended meetings, especially if very important decisions were made. So, retracing the minutes allows for other people to know who was in attendance or who were in attendance. It also tracks the decisions being made and who made them. It appoints accountability. For example, if colleague X was supposed to follow up on decision Y, it's accounted for in the minutes. And it also sums up any pertinent happenings and allows for a quick audit of that meeting. Business etiquette. The observance of business etiquette extends to in the workplace, social environments, online, and amongst diverse cultures. Business etiquette in the workplace entails certain attributes about ourselves, such as our punctuality, our mannerisms, our spoken language, as well as body language, as well as our all-around demeanor. Very important amongst the in the workplace etiquette would be your appearance. You typically don't want to show up looking sloven or just unkempt. An unorderly appearance may convey ill opinions about you from your fellow colleagues. So you want to make sure you're looking well maintained as well as keeping in a common fashion with your colleagues. In social settings, it's important to know your audience and the fellow attendees, and so you can tailor your behavior accordingly. When in social settings, you want to make sure you introduce yourself with a brief description of what it is that you do. And remember, when introducing others, speak their entire name and try to find some common ground between the two so that you can kind of break the ice and entice conversation. Also, remember also to remember when introducing persons is to remember that lower ranking persons are typically introduced to higher ranking persons. That's just the way it goes. Online. When we're using the internet to interact with our colleagues, customers, or associates, it's important to maintain professionalism. You must always remember to type your words instead of using this new age text format when communicating with your colleagues. You also want to remember you don't want to just bombard someone with topics before asking if they have the ability to actually converse with you online. Let's say, for example, if your instant messenger shows that they're online, you want to make sure that they can talk to you. You want to keep things classy and concise, and you don't want to include too many personal opinions or get on your soapbox about certain things when you're conducting business via internet means, emails, instant messages, or even the conference. And also to remember, when you're amongst diverse cultures, you want to be sure to be aware of your own biases, and you want to make sure that you sort of learn about the cultures you're going to be interacting with, so that way you know that you're not going to be doing things to make yourself stand out or come off as being crass or insensitive. Intercultural business communications. Guidelines for communicating in different business scenarios. Adapting to other business cultures, U.S. business culture, business with other culture, and communication tools are the things we'll be talking about on this slide. And adapting to other business cultures entails kind of being aware of yourself and your mannerisms and the way you convey. Some of the things that may be acceptable and perfectly normal to persons in general in the United States may come off and perceived in different ways to persons of other cultures. So you kind of want to be aware of, take visual note of how people are conducting themselves, and sort of tailor your actions and your mannerisms and your language to the way they would do it. In U.S. business culture, we tend to pretty much keep things concise and to the point, and we speak less about, group feelings and cultural unity. And we also tend to kind of show reliance upon ourselves and getting by on our own merits. Business with other cultures. Remember that when conducting business with persons of other cultures, you want to be mindful of treating others as they wish to be treated. You also want to show tolerance and flexibility and patience, because as well as language barriers, there are also cultural barriers that we must sort of get over, and just in order to conduct business with persons from other places. That's just a fact of life, and sometimes it can become difficult, so you want to be patient. And as far as communication tools, in a scenario like the one previously mentioned, you might want to include an interpreter. The end.